So I've been making a lot of progress recently on my Iron Man suit, and in today's video, I'm going to take you through a couple of the things that I've done to get this far. Hello and welcome back to the Echo 3D channel, no longer Ethan Makes, and I'm going to go through a few things that I've done with this suit. So first, let's talk about the chest plate. After the last video, I went and primed this bad boy and sanded it up a few times. I'll have some pictures on the screen here, but I went and put some Bondo all over this thing and painted it and primed it a few times, sanded it back down. I believe I did 2 or 3 passes of sanding and then priming. So it's getting there. It's not quite there yet, not quite where I want it, but it's a lot smoother than a raw print. So I'd say for this particular piece, I'm about maybe halfway there. One more thing I want to mention is on this chest plate, I actually heated it up from about here back, and I just put it on my body and kind of curled it in just a little bit there on both sides. That way it kind of fits more snugly to me. I actually had it a little bit too wide, but I believe that I kind of counteracted that. Basically, I just heated and warped it so that it would fit me better. And I thought that the primer was actually going to bend or crack, and it really showed no signs. I actually heated it up just like this with the primer on it, and it worked. I was fully expecting to have to sand it down and put primer and sand it down again and just do the whole process over again, but it actually worked out just fine. So I wouldn't recommend it, but if you forgot to warp something like I did, maybe try it. I also went ahead and did a rough sand and prime of the neck armor. I basically just scuffed it up and sprayed it. This I'm gonna have to go in with a little bit more detail, maybe some sanding files, and get really in those detail lines to make it stand out. But for now, that's all I'm doing with that. By the way, if I haven't shown it before, this is how the neck armor goes together. It kind of just snaps in there. Now it's designed to have some magnets in there, but I'm actually going to probably put some Velcro. I've heard from others that the magnets don't really work very well if you're walking around for a con, so I'm gonna just play it safe and probably either do buckles or some Velcro or some other way to keep them together better than the magnets would. Here's the back of the neck. I didn't have it within arm's reach when I did that segment of the video, so here's what that looks like. This is also rough sanded and primed, so that will go with the front piece. The shoulders are actually attached to the back plate now with some super glue and some straps. They kind of just hang there. The super glue is actually really strong and it's holding very well, but you can see here the shoulders are pretty much at the same state as the chest plate and the helmet so far, and I've had a few issues trying to attach the chest and the back. You can see here my latest attempt was these bar magnets that I saw on Frankly Built's channel. Here they are right here. They're just simple little bar magnets. They're really strong, and I thought these would work really well for this, but the way that I attached them was just with some hot glue, and it didn't hold very well. They kind of came apart less than an hour after I put them on. I could put the chest on and off maybe 3 or 4 times before one of them or all of them would pop off, so I don't recommend doing that. Here are those same magnets in the chest plate. What I did was basically just lift it and set it down and it would click into place, which is great, but the magnets won't stay in. So I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take these out and super glue in some buckles and some straps, and hopefully that will be strong enough. The thing about creating an Iron Man suit like this is there are gonna just be some problems that you can't immediately figure out. Things you have to think about for days or even weeks in my case. Attaching this whole thing together has been kind of frustrating, especially with the back and the chest plate. I tried straps, those came off with hot glue. I've tried magnets now, and I decided that the problem was not either of those. The problem was the hot glue. So I'm going to take this super glue and activator recommended by Frank over at Frankly Built, and that's the exact same thing that I use to attach the shoulders to the back plate, and those have not moved. That's a very strong attachment there. I don't think they're going to come off unless I purposely rip them off, but that's the strongest adhesive that I've been able to use. So definitely don't use hot glue on your Iron Man suit. That will not go well. By the way, I just wanted to point out that my entire suit is printed out completely except for the hands. I actually have some little palm pieces that I'm gonna end up redoing because I printed them over a year ago and they're terrible quality. So I'm gonna just redo the hands and the hand topper. And I'm not redoing the fingers. I already have those, and that was a headache and a half to print and size correctly. So I am not going to redo those. But after the hands are done, that's about it. The whole suit is printed, and after that is a bunch of sanding and priming and bondoing and clear coating and painting, and not exactly in that order, but it's gonna be a lot of work. Now it's time to talk about this helmet. As you can see, there are some wires coming out of here, and the helper arms are installed and it does open, but you can see there that the servo housing keeps coming off. I'm gonna have to weld it because that I actually did attach with hot glue to the widow's peak of the helmet. So I'm gonna have to actually plastic weld that in. But I've been having a few issues with my servos, and I'm having a hard time getting this thing to open and close smoothly and reliably. This helmet has been pretty much giving me nothing but trouble. The circuit itself actually works great, but the servos, I don't know if I stripped them already or something happened to them, I'm not sure, but they're pretty much stuck. And if I try to move them, see if you can hear it. Yeah, it doesn't sound good. So I'm gonna have to figure out what that is and maybe have to get some more servos, but hopefully I can get it working. Here's the circuit itself. It looks kind of complicated right now because of all the wires, but in the middle here I've got the Crashworks Alicia board, and wired up to that I've got this limiter switch that will go right in front of my chin. So all I have to do is flex my chin and that will open the helmet. I've got the LED eyes here wired up as well as this little power cord that goes to my USB power bank that will power all of this. I'll put over to the side here a clip of what it looked like when it was working properly the first couple times that I actually installed it in the helmet. And I had some issues. I didn't have the helper arms in at first, so you may see the faceplate acting a little weird and wonky, but it did work a few times, so I know that it will work. I believe I just need some new servos. I'm not quite sure yet. It still looks awesome though. Here is the little palm sander that I've been using for most of the broad flat areas of the suit. Now there is a bunch of details that I'm gonna have to get some sanding files or just go in with some hand sanding in a bunch of different places, but this has been a lifesaver. It has really sped up my sanding process, and it could do the same for you. So make sure if you're making an Iron Man suit or anything big that's 3D printed for that matter, make sure you get something like this. It doesn't have to be the same one, but this will definitely help you out. Another thing I like when I'm sanding is this little sanding sponge. It's got a smooth side and a little hexagon side, and this basically just curves with your hand or curves with whatever surface. So when I go around the large flat parts like the chest plate, when I sand this, it kind of conforms to that edge and conforms to the shape of it so that it sands a lot better and a lot faster. Speaking of things that might help you out, I've got these little purse magnets. One has a little hole in it and the other has a little button there in the middle, and these just click right together, and you can put these anywhere and attach straps to them. I'm gonna use a couple of these, I believe, in the arms and maybe the legs. So those are gonna really help for harnessing and strapping everything to your body. As for the lower body, like the abs here, I haven't actually started sanding and filling these yet. I'm focusing more on the upper body to start with, and then once I get those most of the way done, I will start on the lower parts. I'm kind of doing these in groups because I don't have a huge paint booth or a garage to put all of these parts in to do them all at once. So I'm kind of just doing them in segments, like the helmet to the chest plate and then the chest plate to the abs. That way I don't overwhelm myself and I can still make good progress every time. Hey guys, Ethan from the future here. I've actually been in the middle of editing this video, but I wanted to quickly mention and point out that I have an Etsy store now. The link will be in the description. It's called Props Universe, and I'm selling things like this Red Hood mask. I've also listed the Witcher pendant from the Netflix series, that little wolf at the end of his necklace, and I've also got my favorite right here, the Pokeball, fully 3D printed, and it actually opens with a printed mechanism. So if you want to get those, head down to the description and you'll see the link for the Props Universe shop. So that's where you can get those if you want some. All right, back to the video. So like I've said, I got most of the suit printed out. Here's the most recent shoe parts. So I got those, and what did I do with them? These just came off the printer, so the raft and everything is still on them, as you can see there. But these are the 2 heel parts and the 2 sides. So I've actually got both of the shoes printed out and ready to be welded. As for the legs, I've got these laid out here in my little spare room. I've got the thighs done, I've got these shins and calves, and that's the first shoe that I gotta weld together. And I've got the forearms here. The hand covers and hands are going to be redone, like I said. And in those bags are the finger segments. Those I'm going to be sanding and priming here pretty soon to go with the new hand parts that are currently printing. I haven't done anything to these biceps just yet. That is the next thing on my to-do list. I want to bring these up to the same level as the chest and the helmet and the shoulders. So these will go through a couple passes of sanding and priming as well. Another thing that's been really helpful for me is these gloves. These are just little latex gloves, and it helps keep from getting paint on my hands. When I was a kid, I didn't care about this, so I would walk around with blue or purple hands. I didn't care. I was making cool stuff. But now I actually have a job, so I don't want to get paint on my hands that I can't get off. My cat decided to crash the video. He came to say hello. All right, see ya. Another thing that I've been thinking about recently is a way to display the armor. Now, I had made this little not great one a while back, but I think I'm going to start from the beginning again and rebuild a better one. That way I can just have a place to actually put the armor that's a designated area for it to go. Instead of having to put a bunch of it on this storage rack and take up a lot of space, I want to have a designated corner of my room where I can put the armor stand and actually have it displayed. This will also make it easier to actually just look at it from afar and see, okay, well, I have to sand and prime this and I have to attach that and just things like that. It will be easier for me to actually think through the process a little bit more. Alrighty guys, I think that's just about it for the updates and things that I've done recently. I am going to be attaching some buckles and straps here and there pretty soon, so make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. And also follow me over on Instagram at Echo3D. I'm gonna be posting constantly over there because I'm absolutely obsessed with this thing, but I'm gonna keep doing it because I love it. So on that note, do what you love and don't let anyone stop you. Until next time, happy printing.